missing someone.
Hello, hi you guys, my name is McKenna. I am back again with another video. I'm still new to this whole YouTube thing, so I'm still figuring out as I go, but I wanted to show up today and talk to you guys a little bit about how to become a spin instructor if, for one, you're auditioning, or two, if you're a new spin instructor, some tips and tricks on how you can become a better spin instructor. Now, I wanted to say full disclosure, I've only been teaching for about a year and a half, somewhere in there. So I haven't been teaching super long, but I have been in the group fitness field for quite a while, since about 2014 or so. So I have a little bit of tips. I'm gonna give you what I would recommend to people. I've been getting a ton of questions on TikTok about it, so I figured why not hop on here and make a video on tips and tricks, because I've had several people DM me, like actually a lot of people DM me and wanting to know tips and tricks on how to become a spin instructor. So it's just easier for me to make it in one place, and then I can kind of refer people to this video. So that is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna talk you through first auditions and how to prepare for auditions. So I currently teach for Cycle Bar. This is the only spin studio that I have taught for. I've taught for several studios within Cycle Bar, but I have only been with one brand. So this is me coming from the aspect of Cycle Bar. But I would say that a lot of spin studios are gonna require some of the same things. So if you have all these down for an audition, I would say that you're gonna do pretty good. All right, so the first thing that I would recommend is get into the studio and take classes. It's so important to take as many classes as you can before audition day. Take notes after class, take notes on what you see, on what you like, on what you don't like that instructors do. You don't have to think too much about it because you don't have a background yet. You are not teaching classes, you are just going to audition, and they don't expect you to know everything. But it is good to just start observing and having an instructor mind. So unfortunately, whenever I go and take classes, it's hard for me to turn off my instructor mind. It's hard for me to just be a client. It's hard for me to just be a writer. So starting to think like an instructor when you're taking class, what is good, what works, what doesn't work, is really gonna help you out. Pay attention to the cues that instructors use. Pay attention to how they get people to push without feeling defeated. The last thing you want is for people to feel defeated in a class. You want people to feel empowered. So just pay attention to how instructors cue, pay attention to their rhythm, pay attention to the music that they choose. I know this is a lot of stuff, but just pay attention, right? You don't have to know it all from the beginning. And in fact, they don't expect you to know it all. Just pay attention, take notes. Tip number 2, you're gonna wanna practice. So along with writing in studio, you're gonna also wanna hop on a bike and practice talking and saying the verbiage that you're gonna say when you do audition. So whether that be the songs that you choose and how you're gonna cue into a push, like a speed push or a gear push, or how you're gonna cue into choreography like crunches or elbow drops or push-ups, whatever it is that you're gonna cue on the bike, you want to practice cueing that. You're also gonna wanna practice with your music. If you know your music really well, it's gonna help you out when you're teaching a class. You wanna know your music like the back of your hand. Whenever I'm teaching a class, I'll listen to my playlist before I go to bed. I'll listen to my playlist when I'm driving to the studio. I have kind of a long drive. I chose to work downtown Denver, and so it's a little ways away from where I live, but I'm okay with that. I wanted to teach with some of the best cycling instructors that I know, and so I chose to work there under some of the best in Cycle Bar so that I could learn from them. That was the main reason I chose to work down there. I constantly want to be learning, and so when I'm driving, it takes nearly 30 minutes for me to get to the studio, so I listen to my playlist. Tip number 3, you're gonna wanna focus on your personality. They don't expect you to know everything. Not that they don't want you to, they just don't expect you to. So show them your personality, show them who you are. If you mess up, laugh about it. Like, it's okay. Like I said, they don't expect you to know everything. I've said that a million times, but they really don't. So if you mess up, laugh about it. They wanna know that you're teachable. They wanna know that you're outgoing. To be honest, I'm not really outgoing, but when I teach a class, I appear to be outgoing. And so in group fitness, I've been teaching since 2014. I've gotten really good at being outgoing. I'm very introverted and I like to be alone, but during an audition, I don't come off that way. And when I'm teaching, I don't come off that way. A lot of people are shocked when they hear that I'm an introvert. So show them your personality, even if you're shy, even if you don't really know what you're doing. The fact that you're putting yourself out there and being super brave and showing somebody who you are, doing something that you feel uncomfortable doing, they're going to be really impressed by that. So just be yourself, show up, do the best you can. Now, tip number 4, musicality. Musicality is huge in indoor cycling. I know there's some studios that don't ride to rhythm, but the studios that I teach for at Cycle Bar and a lot of the studios that you'll probably be auditioning for are rhythm based. So it is so important to have good music. It is so important to know your music, and it is super important to have musicality. That's the one thing that you cannot be taught is musicality. So during an audition, that's probably one of the most important things to know. Ride to rhythm. This is why you want to get into a studio and you want to practice as much as you can, because you can practice riding to rhythm. So when you're riding to rhythm, if you don't know what that is, I'm trying to think of how I could explain it, but on the downbeat, you have your lead leg going down. On the upbeat, you have your other leg going down. So you're constantly riding to the beat. If you don't know what that is, I don't really know how to explain that any better. Should we like drop a beat right now? I think we should, and then I can definitely show you. Okay. All right, here we go. So I've got my music right here. I would use this song at the beginning of a class. This is a great song. It's like a remix of like Every Day I'm Hustling or whatever it is. I love this song. This is like a great hype song to get class going. It builds the energy. Anyways, so to ride to rhythm, 1, 2, 1, 2, kind of like this. 1. So if you're a dancer, if you played music growing up, I played the cello for maybe 8 years, maybe more. So I have musicality. I didn't need to be taught on this. During my audition, I excelled at this because it was something I had been doing for a long time. All right. Which, by the way, if you want to find me on Spotify, I have so many good songs on there, music that you can use for spin. My Spotify username is McKenna Holly, no space. You can find me on there. And I actually still have my audition playlists on here. So if you dig deep enough, you might be able to find them. It's like way back. I've been teaching for almost a year and a half, a little over a year, almost a year and a half. And I have hundreds and hundreds of playlists on there. And I don't even think all my playlists are public. So I'll try to go on there and make my audition public, but I've made hundreds of playlists. So rhythm is key. If I haven't drilled that into you enough, you want to make sure you have rhythm because they can't teach you rhythm. Which that brings me in to tip number 5. If you're auditioning, good music. You want to have good music. Music drives the energy to a class. If you have a lame playlist, nobody's gonna want to come back to your class. I rely so heavily off of my music, and it just really drives the energy for me. For one, because I said I'm very introverted. I just need a kick-in playlist. So make sure that you have a good playlist for your audition. Tip number 6 for auditions, you can ask for help. Like if you're going into a studio and you're asking somebody to audition and they refer you to the manager, they refer you to the lead instructor, and then you get an audition date set up, ask them, what do you expect of me? I'm sure they're gonna say the same things I just did, but ask them, do you have any tips for me? Ask them what their advice is, because this is just coming from me. I am not a lead instructor. I am not a trainer at Cycle Bar. I just teach there. So ask them what their opinions are. They'll probably say a lot of the same things, but they may say some stuff that you're just like, oh my gosh, I totally understand that, and that's gonna help me a ton. Plus, they'll give you expectations on what they expect out of you at your audition. So ask for help. Don't be afraid to be humble. Always be seeking out growth opportunities. Always be looking for bettering yourself, to better yourself. There we go. All right, so that is my tips for auditioning. For one, for Cycle Bar or any kind of cycling studio. And then I'm gonna move into if you're a new instructor. If you're a new instructor, you just got certified, say with Cycle Bar or somewhere else, I've got some tips for you that helped me out when I first got started. So let's dive into it. Tip number 1, never wing a class. Never. Listen to your playlist beforehand. I don't care how long you've been teaching, don't wing a class. Show up with intention, with purpose. The people that show up to your class are paying sometimes $25, $33, however much money to come to your class. They're paying a lot. So you want to show up and you want to give them exactly what they're paying for or excel their expectations of your class. Tip number 2. Someone else's opinion of you is none of your business. Not every single person is going to like you, and you can't let it get to you. And you can't let it affect how you teach the next class. Sometimes people have really good constructive criticism, but I will say there's a difference between constructive criticism and just being not very nice, you know? So take the constructive criticism, always be wanting to learn, always be wanting to grow. But if somebody has something that is just mean that they write a review about, just let it roll off your back. You're not going to be able to please everybody, and show up and just make that negative review give you more fire to want to be even better. Tip number 3 for new instructors. This is a huge one. I just want to say it is not your workout. You don't become a fitness instructor because you want to get paid to work out. At least for me, that is not why I do it. I do it because I want to help people. And hopefully one day down the line, I will open up on here about my fitness story. But basically it comes down to, I was going through a really hard time, and my fitness instructors helped me get through what I was going through. And that gave me the drive to want to become a fitness instructor for that purpose, to help other people. I don't do it because I want a free workout and get paid for my workout. That's not why I do it. I do it because people pay a lot of money, like I said, to be there. And for a lot of people, it's their therapy, right? They get stronger. It's physically empowering, but it's also mentally empowering. And you just want to be that for people. Tip number 4, show up early and leave late. Get to know the people that are in your class. Get to know what vacations they're going on. Get to know what they did over the weekend. Get to know their kids, pictures of their kids. Ask them to show you. Ask them to take a picture with you. I've got a lot of tips, you guys. Tip number 5, always be willing to grow. Always be willing to change and become a better instructor. Tip number 6, you don't have to follow the trends, right? If a song is trending and it just doesn't vibe with you, if it's not your kind of song and you just can't jam to it, you don't have to use it. You don't have to be on the latest trends. Do what is right for you and stick to what you know. Number 7, variety. Variety is key, and Cycle Bar preaches to this. I don't know about the other cycling studios, but you don't want to have every single one of your songs EDM. You want variety. So use a little bit of everything. Of course, keep it true to you, but also put yourself out of your comfort zone. Try something that maybe you haven't tried before. Number 8, is that where we are? Tip number 8. So invest in a music platform. I have Spotify. That is what's best for me. That is what Cycle Bar uses. So if you are gonna audition for Cycle Bar, get Spotify. We don't hide music. We share our music, right? Like, the rights of the music is not ours. So instructors who hoard their music and like protect it and keep it private and don't share with even their writers, that's kind of a pet peeve of mine. I like hate it when people do that. Share your music. The whole point I'm trying to get across is share your music. Like, there's no reason to hoard your music. Every single instructor has their own vibe. So just share your music. Tip number 9, we already kind of talked about this, but get to know your people, get to know your community, get to know the people who are in your class. Just like before, come early, stay late. Tip number 9, if you're gonna try some new music choreography, practice your cues before you go in there. A lot of these tips are gonna start to become repetitive because just practice your stuff. Practice before you go in there and you perform. Practice what you're gonna say, practice your cues, the choreography that you're gonna do, and then you'll totally slay. Cool. Another tip that I have is roll with the punches. Not every class is gonna be perfect. Not every class is gonna go according to plan, and you're gonna mess up sometimes. It's okay. You're gonna miscount something in. Just roll with the punches. You don't have to apologize to your class. That's like something that no matter what fitness platform you're in, don't say sorry. Don't let people know that you messed up. If people know, then they're probably an instructor. Other than that, nobody else is going to know that you messed up. So just roll with it. Let it happen. Just move on. Keep going. Don't get defeated. If anything, like, laugh it out. I don't even know what tip number we're at anymore, but 3 more left. I'll make these quick. One of the last 3 is pay attention to your music volume. You want it loud. You want it bumping, but not so loud that people's ears are going to be ringing for hours after class. Pay attention to your volume. Get there early. Test your mic. Pop your mic on. I usually walk around inside the studio. I'll go to the back bike 48 or whatever it is. And I'll say, testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3. I'll go to the other side of the studio, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and just make sure everything sounds good. I'll have the music playing as loud as I would play it when I am teaching. And then I just make sure everything sounds good. Fill your own classes. You are your brand. I post a lot on social media about Cycle Bar. I see a ton of other cycle stars. Yes, we call ourselves cycle stars. I see a lot of them posting about their class slots. Fill your class slots. Fill your class times. It's okay. You don't need to rely on the studio to do that for you. And in fact, you shouldn't rely on the studio to do that for you. Get to know your people. I've said this already several times. Get to know your people before class and after class. Get to know their names. Get to know their life. And pretty soon they're going to want to be your best friend. They're going to be your #1 fans. They're going to be coming to every single one of your classes. So get to know your people. And then the last tip I have for you is have fun. For me, it doesn't feel like a job. Like, I'm lucky to get paid to do it, but it doesn't feel like a job. I just love being there. When I first started teaching, I taught in Utah, and a ton of the writers there that came to all my classes, one of the writers came to my class every single 6 a.m. and another one of the writers came every single 7 a.m. that I taught, and I still keep in touch with them. I love them to pieces, and they keep talking about coming out here to Denver for Girls Weekend to hang out, and I so hope that that happens. Anyways, this has been a much longer video than I had planned, so I'm gonna cut it off. Hopefully I can shrink this down into a lot less. Hopefully you guys get some benefit from it. If you're a new instructor, let me know below. If you're a new cycle star, let me know below. Let me know. I want to get to know you. Let's be friends on social media. Reach out, DM me. I'll pop everything below. My Instagram handle is Happily_Kenna. My TikTok handle is Happily_Kenna. Let's see what else. Spotify, McKenna Holly. Like, let's be friends. Cool. Well, thank you guys. Best of luck if you're on your spin instructor journey. I wish you luck. Let me know how it goes.